Okay. Now that I have some space, I can finally explain in a more concise. Calm down. I'll let you out in a couple days. Jesus. Anyways, so it's very clear. Okay, so season one, part one, and season one, part two. Makes sense. Season one, part two, part one, and season one, part two, part two. These are like the episodes. Then we had season one, part three, part one, and part two. But as an addition, we added part two of part one. So this is retroactively part one, and part three, part one, part two. But like basically we said part three, part one, and part three, part two. And then we have part three, part two, part one, and part three, part two, part two. And it's very simple. It makes sense. What is it? What? What? What the? You want to explain yourself?
As you can see, part 3, subsection part 3, part 1, subsection part 3, part 2. Now, part 3, part 2, part 1 is the same as part 3, part 2. You just add a part 1 to it. It's like Shrek. There's no Shrek 1, it's just Shrek. So this is the same thing as this. So this should be the next title of the movie.